Hey guys, welcome back to the Laidback Homestead. I'm Crystal, and today we are starting our fall flowers, or depending on where you live, cool weather flowers. These are typically flowers that thrive in the 60s, maybe a little lower than that. So for some, these are more appropriate for spring, which I can get away with some of these things for spring. But where I live, Zone 9A, a lot of these are better suited for fall into our winter. So I'm going to show you all the varieties I'm growing, some for beauty, some for more medicinal properties that I'm ready and super excited to explore finally. Yes, so let's get into the seeds. Part of what I'm doing is eliminating or going through and trying to reduce the seeds that I have in my collection. I have a ton of seeds. I've shown my seed box in other videos, so if you've seen it, you know. But I am going to start off with my nasturtiums. Nasturtiums I can grow in the spring, but because some of my seeds are so old, their germination rates weren't great. So what I'm trying to do is just kind of go through before I place my really big seed orders in November. That way I know if none of these are viable, I can go ahead and just place orders for new seeds that maybe will actually germinate. And I'm going through this, the way that I'm going to plant them, I'm actually going to soak them for a while. That's why I'm starting with them first, because I am going to soak them for a while. And then I'm going to put them in these larger tray here. It's the 16 count trays. I have some pre-moistened potting soil / compost mix. I am going to be soaking these because their seeds are so thick. You can skip that step if you wanted to maybe even put a nick in the seeds with a nail file. If you've never seen a nasturtium seed before, they're pretty big and they're pretty hard. Now you do not need to start these in trays. These do well being directly sown. However, I have found, for me, I do better pre-soaking them and starting them just because, like I said, last spring my germination rate was really low. I'm going to start with who I have the least amount of. If I can eliminate a seed pack, that's what I want to do. So for our nasturtium varieties, I grow these. Yes, you can eat them. I have added them to salads before. They're kind of spicy, but that's not really why I grow them. I grow them just because I really think they're beautiful. And when it is the right season for them here, they really do thrive. So I have the Bloody Mary mix, the Orchid Flame. This one was one of my all-time favorites. The Orchid Cream, those pops of reds offset by that cream color, absolutely gorgeous. And then I have the Tip Top Pink Blush. These ones didn't perform quite as well. I think where they were, they got too much sun and they petered out pretty quickly. So maybe in the fall they'll do better. I have an Alaskan mix, and these are brand new, and I've never planted them, so I'm absolutely going to start some because even though I am trying to thin out my seeds, I'm really interested to see this color, the Purple Emperor. Let's try to get the glare off. So I'm going to go ahead and just get those soaked, and then I'll move on to the rest of our seeds. Alrighty, so I got everything prepared. So I'm just going to make a decent size hole and drop these in. Typically, they tell you the size of the hole is based off the size of the seed. You want to go 2 times its width, and that's how deep you want to bury it. And since nasturtiums are pretty big, I typically don't really have problems with this. I know I mentioned that nasturtiums are edible, but I also wanted to add some other benefits to adding these flowers to your garden. They are a great pollinator magnet. They attract bees, butterflies, and even hummingbirds, which I have an abundance of in both the fall and spring. They are a great trap crop for aphids if that is something you deal with in your yard, which I definitely do, and can offer benefits for both tomatoes and brassicas in that regards because the aphids will be more attracted to the nasturtiums. These flowers were also used in traditional medicine for their antibacterial properties. And this year, that is something I am definitely exploring with all of my flowers and herbs. I find the hardest part about germinating nasturtium seeds is quite honestly just keeping them moist. The seeds, they're so large, they tend to want to dry out. This is why I really don't like direct sowing them, because I tend to be forgetful. Let's just be honest. It's also why I don't like putting them straight away into my greenhouse, because out of sight, out of mind. It's so hot that I'm really not in there right now. So I'm going to put them out with the rest of my seedlings and my hardening off table, just so that I'm, reminded, like, hey, if you're watering your seedlings, water these guys too, because at the end of the day, they do need it. I live in a very windy area, and all of my seeds will blow off the table, just waiting patiently. My soil was already pre-moistened, so it's really damp, so I'm not going to worry about necessarily watering them in. I just put some water at the bottom in their little reservoir, and these guys are ready to go. I'm back now with my 72 count seedling tray, 72 count tray. I am starting a lot of flower seeds. So if this is something that interests you, go ahead and grab a beverage. Some of these seeds require light to germinate, and some require them to be, sown like you would any other seed. So I've separated these. The first batch requires darkness. So I'll put a little hole in my soil, not deep. Again, you only want to go based off of the size of the seed, and some of these seeds are pretty small. So a little hole, a light covering, just enough darkness for it to germinate, and you'll be fine. Now I want to start off with my honorable mention here, and this is my sweet peas. So my sweet peas, I am not starting in trays. These can be direct sown, the same as regular peas, with no real effort. And so I'm not going to waste space in my tray, but I did want to mention them because these are really pretty to grow, and they tend to be highly fragrant. So if you're looking to add a pop of color, these are really nice. I should also caution that parts of this plant are toxic if ingested. So take that in mind if you're going to grow something like this. Do your due diligence. I've never ran into it. I'm obviously not going to try to eat these, but I have a dog. I've never ran into an issue, but that could just be my dog. So be mindful. If you have other, animals on your property, just be mindful. I grow these typically in a pot, and I don't really run into any issues. They are really pretty. I used to have a blue variety, but I can't find those seeds, so I'm guessing I'm out. So I'll need to order some more before we direct sow this. Anyway, let's move on to the ones we actually are going to be direct sowing. So I have here some pansies. Now I tried to get these to come up in the spring, and I did not do that well. These are also an edible perennial. I don't plan on eating them. These seeds are really tiny, and these will do good in mild climates, late summer, for cool season blooms. So seed depth, 1/8 of an inch. So just a little movement here. And I'm actually going in, giving this 6 cells here, because I've got a lot of little itty bitty little seeds. Can you even see those in my hand? I'm just going to sprinkle some in here. We will see what we get. And I still have some seeds left over in here for spring. Try again. If I can't get these, so since a lot of these I started in the spring and didn't have the best of luck, if that rings true now as well, a lot of these I will go ahead and start one last hurrah. Our cotton ball method that I've done, or if you have the rock wool for the indoor hydroponic growing kits, you can certainly use that too. And I have all of that, so that is something I will explore down the road. Now I have here some lupine seeds. This one is the lupine sunrise, and this one, these are really old. This one is the So Easy lupine. This one I think was just a mix. Quite a long time, 21 to 28 days for germination, so keep that in mind too. And it looks like 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 inch deep. While doing my research for this video, I read that lupine come in every shade of the rainbow, from soft pastels to bold purples, and now I need to know if any of you grow these and have sourced seeds for pastel lupines. Please let me know in the comments down below. Oh, these apparently have spectacular sweet pea-like blossoms. So it's my first time growing lupine. I probably should have said that up front. All right, you guys. So I don't know if you can see the size of the seeds in this pack. Get the glare off of it. If you can see the size of those seeds down there at the bottom in the window. But these ones are significantly bigger. These are almost as big as the nasturtiums. I was not expecting that. These are also newer, so I'm not going to go heavy with them since the seed is so big. Now listen, I am not going to sit here and pretend to be any level of an expert for some of these, especially something like lupine, which I'm brand new to growing. If you have tips and tricks for any of the varieties that I am planning out today, please share them with me. I am trying to get the best garden possible. Now, these last two are being grown very specifically for a purpose, and that is calendula. You can't really read this one anymore because it's so washed out. The calendula snow princess, calendula strawberry blonde. These I'm growing for medicinal reasons. They are supposed to be kind of like an anti-inflammatory for the skin. I make my family soap. I've been doing that now for years. And I'm also someone who suffers from eczema. So I am growing certain types of flowers this year very specifically, not only for their beauty, because obviously it's two different colors, but also for their functionality. And that's something that I really want to hone in so that once we've moved into our homestead property, I'll have a better idea of how much space I'll need for these types of things. These do require darkness. And if you've never seen a calendula seed before, because I was a little caught off guard the first time I opened them, they look almost like little curled up caterpillars, honestly. Can you see that? That was the end of my seeds that require some level of darkness. So now we're going to move on to our fall seeds or our cool weather flowers that require light to germinate. I do have quite a lot of seeds that require light to germinate. This is one of the bigger issues I've come into when starting certain herbs and flowers. A lot of times I would just go out and get totally caught up in, look how pretty, and then do no real research and wonder why I don't get anything to grow. So I do take the time now to truly research prior to setting down and even starting what needs light, separating them out into piles, who's going to need cold stratification. And if you don't know what cold stratification is, if you live in the South, sometimes seeds need to have a proper winter replicated. To be on the safe side, a lot of my flower seeds I keep in a Ziploc baggie in my refrigerator to simulate winter. So let's talk about what we have here. We're starting. I have some of these really pretty hollyhocks. Now, if you live in the South, hollyhocks look like they can be sown pretty much from February through December. So, most of the year, the only time you can't plant them is January. Odd. This is what a hollyhock seed looks like. So I'm going to, anything that requires light, I'm just going to lay on the surface. Tap it down, just a little gentle tap, not burying it, just tapping it down. Up next is the balsam peppermint stick. I have successfully grown these in the past, typically during the late spring and summer, but I thought, man, wouldn't it be cool to get some peppermint stick balsams if I can for Christmas? That would be awesome. Next up, I have more cosmos. This is the pink variety. I did not have the best of luck with this particular color. I had a bunch of the orange ones come up, but the issue I'm running into is that I've got a bunch of the orange ones re-volunteering in my beds, which is awesome. Love free plants, but I don't have any pink ones, and pink is my favorite color. So now I have some super old snapdragon seeds. This one is the night and day variety, and I'm also starting new to me bizarre mix. Now I have out in my yard now the apple blossom variety, and I am not restarting those right now because they're still out there doing good. Whew. Can you see how tiny those are. Now I want to say this, snapdragons, this is my first time growing them in the fall. They've done amazing. They've bloomed our entire summer, and our summers get stupid hot here. So if these do great in the fall, these are going to probably become my new favorite flower to grow. The first time I grew snapdragons and actually had any level of success was in my hydroponic system around my fire pit. Moving on, I am going to be growing Orlia. I have not grown these. It does say specifically though on the pack in mild areas, sow in fall for a winter bloom. Oh, these are actually not that small. I think I had it in my head they were going to be super tiny because they came in this little inside pack, but no, they're actually not that bad. All right, one that I'm really excited about. I have some daisies. I have the English daisy double mix, as well as some Shasta daisies. Now, I tried growing these in the spring. I did not have very good luck. I think it got too hot too quickly for them, quite honestly. And so I am a little behind on starting these from seeds, but I think we'll be okay. And daisy seeds are super tiny as well. See that? Next up, I have some poppies. I think these are maybe both the same thing. I'm not 100% because this one is specifically red California poppies. And then this one says poppy California mix. Oh, if I would have just read hues, various hues including orange, yellow, and pink. Okay. Now, another honorable mention, my 4 o'clocks. These should do well here now that it's cooling off. I have tried growing these before and transplanting them out. Same with morning glories. And they died at a dramatic fashion, like just in the most dramatic way. My understanding is they really don't like to be transplanted. And I definitely saw that with my morning glories. And I'm pretty sure I saw it with these too. So these, as well as my sweet peas, are going to be direct sown in my yard once I find out where I have a place for them. I think these may be as problematic when it comes to invasiveness as morning glories. I've heard not so great things, like, oh, the morning glories will take over your yard. Not saying they will or they won't. I've grown mine in pots, so I don't really run into that problem or haven't yet. Now I have 2 other ones. These ones are new to me, so it's hard to know 100% what's going to happen. I have some foxglove apricot beauty. Apricot beauty. Yes, I can talk sometimes. And then I have bells of Ireland. Now, I've got mixed information on these. I've got some seed packets that say start in trays, transplant out, and I have some seed packets that say that these particular seeds do not transplant well. So I don't know what's going to happen. Methinks this may end up being a hydroponic one down the line. And my bells of Ireland, again, new to me. Oh, thank goodness these are bigger. So you can see that. Those are decent sized seeds. Now my last 2 varieties that I'm growing, I have chamomile, which it's 2 seed packs, but it's the same thing. One of them is really old, and I did not get any germination from them last spring at all. I thought I had one germinate, and it's in one of my earlier videos, and I nursed it in several videos. Y'all, it was a weed. It was a weed. I am going to attempt this again. I'm hoping with it getting a little cooler, maybe I'll have better luck. I really don't know. My other thought process was these were really old, so I bought new ones of the same kind when I was at the Home Depot. And this does say I'm in my planting window for this, March through May and August through October. So I am obviously growing this for tea. And last, but certainly not least, probably the one I'm the most excited for is dandelion. But not just dandelion, pink dandelions. I've never seen a pink dandelion. Where I live, the white dandelions grow. I am growing these very specifically for, again, the medicinal properties. Supposed to be a good anti-inflammatory for the skin. This has me super excited. So there's not a lot of seeds in here, which is kind of a bummer, but I get it. I'm going to save some for spring, I think, just in case it's still too warm. This is ideal temperature 45 to 75. It is probably 90 degrees, or going to be 90 degrees today. Maybe upper 80s, but we're nowhere near 45 to 75. So I will save those for the rest of those for spring. We started 24 varieties of fall flower seeds or cool weather flower seeds, depending on where you live and what season you're in. So this is super exciting. I can't wait to see what we get. Whatever we don't get, I will be back to do a hydroponic starting video with that. And now all that's left for me to do is just mist these. The soil was damp, as I had mentioned previously, because majority of these needed to be surface sown. So I'm going to go ahead and mist them. I wanted to share with y'all an update. This was our black Coleus. I believe it was called a black velvet Coleus that we started from a micro seed. And isn't it so cool how something can start from such a tiny, tiny seed and grow into something so pretty. And I mean, obviously this is not full grown. And we have a volunteer, Basil, that popped up to be a part of that. But that is our black velvet Coleus. And he's still kicking. I started this in one of my very first YouTube videos. So it's almost become like a channel mascot for me. I don't know how else to explain it because it's literally been on my journey with me since one of my first seed starting videos that I've ever done. So that's super exciting. And it provides me hope. You know, I can see these micro seeds. I'm afraid I won't get anything out of them, but you know what? Always hope. Well, guys, thank you for hanging out with me today. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a like or a thumbs up. If you are growing fall flowers or cool weather flowers, I'd love it if you'd share what varieties you're growing with me. I will be placing a big seed order in November. And if you're into gardening and homesteading content, I encourage you to subscribe. And until next time, stay blessed.